Welcome to our presentation today. My name is Ginny Ross. I'm an attorney here in town. I'm also a former lieutenant in the National Guard, and my background is foreign policy in my studies. So pretty much my whole adult life I've been concerned with the kinds of things that are now really front and center for us, and what I've found is everything that I've really truly believed in is now kind of having a bit of a crumbling. For example, the Constitution. As a lawyer, I've actually studied it, and I find nothing but deep concern for what is happening in our country on many fronts. So today, what we're going to investigate, and I hope that you'll all keep a very skeptical mind as you investigate the questions of 9/11. And we're going to see a production in 3 parts that will give you some idea of the scope and the magnitude of the questions that really remain to those who are skeptical of the official story. So that's the first step, is to realize that what you've been told is a theory, and it's about a conspiracy. So it's a conspiracy theory. That's the 9/11 Commission report. It's one of those conspiracy theories. So be skeptical. And we invite questions and investigation and skepticism of other theories that you hear. So let's get to it. I'd like to invite all of you to please grab any flyers on the back table that tell more about the group we have. It meets every Wednesday at Laughing Horse Books here in Portland. You can get the information back there. There's also free videos to take home. No one leaves empty-handed. And if you want to spread the word further or look at it some more, take one of those videos with you. Okay, thanks a lot for coming, and let's see the movie 9/11 Mysteries. Now, what I'd like to do is a couple things. One is mention that another thing that was found in the rubble was the untouched passport of Muhammad Atta. So remember that, besides the, little keypad, they also found that fully untouched passport. Okay, so I'm moving over here for directions. And I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to introduce one of the members of the Portland PDX 9/11 Truth Alliance, and I'm also going to ask one of our local real journalists to come up here after that. And so it's going to be another 20 minutes or so, and we're also going to have some Q&A opportunities, time for you to come and ask questions for us. So I'd like to introduce, what's your name again? Tim. Tim, who has an interesting story about a local journalist as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 o'clock at the Laughing Horse Bookstore.
It's okay.
Okay. Oh, we have you're all welcome to come for the 9/11 Truth Alliance. Does everybody know where it's at? Located? Northeast 10th and Burnside. And then on February 28th, which is a Wednesday at 7 o'clock, Mary Starrett. Okay, sorry. She was she ran for governor under the Constitution Party last time, and you probably know her as a reporter on radio and TV. She's going to be meeting with us on that evening. She lost
what
2.
Night?
It'd be 28th of February, and she lost 2 jobs because she came out and believed that Bush knew beforehand about 9/11. So she's a very brave lady, and we need more people like that come out. That's all different. If they're liberal, conservative. As you know, Constitution Party would be more on the conservative side, and we need people from all ranks of different views. So I hope all you guys come out. Okay.
Thank you, Tim. And now, Alex, will you please come on up here? Yes, give it up. Let him hear it. This is a person who actually will go on the air, on the web air, and also, we hope, real radio. You can tell us an update, please. And then, and tell us real news. So I'm just going to hand this to you and also put this on your lapel, if that's okay.
I'll take it. Thank you.
You good?
Yeah.
that was good.
All right, well, thank you all for showing up today. Is anyone here, I was just wondering, still dealing with the concept of 9/11 possibly being an inside job committed by criminal elements within the U.S. government? Is anyone still balancing that out in their head, whether they buy that story or not? Not very many people. Closer? Okay. One thing I want to say about 9/11 Mysteries, it's just one documentary out of dozens of excellent documentaries, specifically on 9/11. Now, there's this attitude perception of what 9/11 research is, what 9/11truth.org is, or people such as many of you in this room, people that question the government and their motives in this never-ending war on terror. When you start to look at all the different issues, why we question 9/11, why we refuse to believe in a conspiracy theory, there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples. Demolitions is just one layer of that. More layers that once you go through the veil of the onion and you start to look more and more into 9/11, you'll ask yourself, where are the 7 to 9 people that are supposedly the hijackers that took control of those planes on 9/11? Where are they? Whatever happened to that BBC report that got dropped like a hot potato? And over the course of the last couple of years of looking at 9/11, the building surveillance society, the police state, I keep coming up with this, some very similar barriers when it comes to talking with people about these issues. It's not really the information that's weak. It's not, because this is very solid documentation. And so when people face this, and they're faced with this concept, oh my God, is it truly possible my own government would kill 3,000 members of their own population to engineer a never-ending war on terror based on lies? Is that really true? When people feel that, they see that, and they have an opportunity to go look for the facts themselves. There's this feeling that arises in people that's extremely intense emotionally. Oh my God, should I do something? Is there something I can do? Most people feel they can do nothing. And so when presented with a television program that covers these issues or a documentary, what most people do is they look at it and they turn it off. They turn it off because the apathy, I believe, in this country is spreading like a parasitic disease psychologically. And until, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, unless we have an economic collapse, a lot of things aren't going to change because we become so complicit. Things are really good in this country, and basically our credit cards still work, don't they? We can still get our gas, and the trucks are still moving food in the grocery stores. Until that changes, consciousness with the average Portlander in a supposed left city is not going to change. So, of course, this is more than just Bush. It's more than Clinton. And none of the candidates on the Democratic ticket and the Republican, the ones that they choose to list in USA Today or LA Times, for the most part, aren't part of what we're doing. So we're doing this like Rocky, in the film Rocky. We are the underdog. And we have to actually have that winning mindset, that no matter what, no matter the intimidation tactics that they put on the TV to make us feel afraid, they're going to lock us all up. They can't physically do that, but they can convince us that they can. If we can break through that and break through in a way that people have never seen before, bring the information to them, allow it to see it, get involved in community meetings, talking to your neighbors, not being afraid of what people are going to think about you at your job, at your school. Once that changes, more people will wake up. More people will accept the information because they're going to find it as self-evident. 9/11 Truth and what we are doing is not a cult. There are no affiliations with Al-Qaeda. To the best of my knowledge, no one from Al-Qaeda has even contacted anyone from 9/11 Truth to thank us for our work. We're doing this for America, but most of all for the world. This isn't just about the U.S. Constitution. We're seeing the buildup of the surveillance grid all over the world, talking, screaming, CCTV cameras in the streets of London, DNA databases, and insane laws like Governor Perry in Texas, his executive order, to force middle schoolers, by the time they're 11 or 12, entering the 6th grade, to take an STD vaccine. The relationship is changing between the citizens and, of course, the police, the government. But most of you know that by now. I just want to give some inspiration and hope that people are waking up in large numbers, but 9/11 truth and what 9/11 is not even half the battle. That's just one aspect of all the different things that are going on. There are rumors about an upcoming war with Iran based upon 2 aircraft carriers that have been deployed to the Gulf as I speak. We read in the papers about people that refuse to go to war being sent up to Fort Lewis to be put on military, some sort of military tribunal. So I believe that to support our troops is to stand up for them when they, their body, their spirit is abused. And it's going to be an interesting year. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to go ahead and predict there's going to be another 9/11. I really hope that's not the case. I don't know if they are that arrogant or not. I do know that sometimes if you pay attention, the information does come out in the mainstream. For example, there's a superficial TV show called The View. Many of you may have heard about it. They plugged a 9/11 Truth website the other day. The resistancemanifesto.com, John Connor. So I'll give him a plug as well. Rosie O'Donnell specifically noted that, that's a good site. How many more people are going to do that in a media-controlled world? Not many, because the best way I can describe, don't own the airwaves anymore. The information where I think we need to focus is community radio, KBOO, getting programming like this at KBOO Radio, talking to people that are volunteers there about the issue of 9/11. Portland Community Media is another option for that. For those watching online, there are access television community centers in dozens, actually hundreds, hundreds of American cities. Then there's the World Wide Web. There's so many ways that we can at least do something, because to sit back and have that attitude, sit down on a chair and go, it seems so overwhelming. It seems that we're going to lose. Look at all the camps. Look at all this legislation. Look at HR 66, HR 6166, stripping habeas corpus from any enemy combatants. Doesn't that ring a bell for any of us that we have to do something, or we are going to be no different than the Germans that pushed Adolf Hitler into power? Hitler did nothing by himself. He learned how to speak. He knew how to mesmerize the populations, use fear as a political weapon. It's exactly the same thing happening today, but it's so much more sophisticated when you learn about DARPA and the programs they're planning to control rioters and protesters. It's the equivalent of Skynet from the movie Terminator 2. So when we look at films like Terminator 2, RoboCop, THX 1138, becoming a physical manifestation, it makes me sick to my stomach. So that is why it's really important that you not care what other people think about you, because that's how they maintain control over you. If you look at a crowd of sheep, and I'm quoting David Icke, by the way, if you look at a crowd of sheep controlled by the shepherd, they're all going to stay in line, and every now and then maybe you'll have a sheep move away from the herd and start munching on the grass. You guys can continue to walk over the cliff. I'm going to hang out over here until eventually the dog barks them back into submission, into line. As human beings in our own civilization, we police ourselves. We take it to another level by conforming to the norms, conforming to the herd, not wanting to go down the rabbit hole and be that guy, be the conspiracy theorist. Anyone still questioning 9/11 watching this, take a look at the facts. And you're not going to find any of us, most of us that is, pointing in the direction of Bigfoot, pointing in the direction of the Pleiades or the pyramids. You'll find a lot of interesting areas and different schools of thought, but this is classic parapolitical, I don't know exactly how to describe this, but this information really can't be debunked, because most of the stuff coming from what we're saying is documented. It's already admitted. CNN, Fox News, AP. It's a matter of, is the mainstream going to look at all the facts or just the facts that they choose to? So again, I believe that once access goes away, once community radio goes away, media completely as it is today is worthless. Unplug your TV and you tell people to do the same, because there isn't going to be anything on the tube in this commercialized, media consolidated world that's going to give you the truth. And if they've lied to you about 9/11, why are they going to tell you the good candidates for the Democratic or Republican ticket that are going to fix this mess? And with that is in your hands. It really is. It's up to everybody's hands to not give in. Not give in to that psychology of, I'm going to be beat, I'm going to lose, I'm going to go into camp. This is all going to end. There's a lot of horrible things upon the horizon with eugenics and genetic engineering, which is a separate issue. But if we just focus on the problems and where we're weak, we can actually maximize what the elite is really trying to do to us. So be brave and do all you can do to fight the new world order. Thank you.
One question for you.
Yeah.
Quick question. Hey,
Sorry.
Quick question before you go, Alex. Can you please repeat where we can see you on the internet?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Say it really loud into the...
AlexAnsary.com, AlexAnsary.com. If you live in Portland, that's on Comcast Channel 11 at 7 p.m.
On what day?
on Thursdays. I also know that the programming guy at PCM sent Free Speech TV one of my tapes, and they may possibly pick it up.
All right.
It's Free Speech TV on satellite, but no guarantees.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you so much, Alex. That is awesome. Local guy? Nice. We've got some truth here going on. Now, I want to hear your truth. Does anybody here want to come and ask a question or make... I'm being beckoned over. You all understand everything about demolitions now. And you know that Alex was exactly right in that this is just the very tip of the iceberg of how much information there is about how wrong or off the official story is. So I invite you to please take one of the videos that's offered back there and find a new layer and try to understand as best you can yourselves so that, you know, when someone asks you what went on or what you're doing, you can speak with some clarity about it. And also, you're going to be ready for the next one that comes along, which is coming along in Iran, right? They're making them out to be the bad guy. You see it trickling in every once in a while. There could well be what's known as a false flag operation, and that's what we characterized 9/11 as, and that's what you could call the Gulf of Tonkin, which kicked off the Vietnam War. It's a proven fact. We know from the documents and transcripts of McNamara and Lyndon Johnson that this was a false operation. It never happened. And yet it kicked off a huge, bloody, massive war from which millions of Vietnamese died and 58,000 of our own people died. So, you know, that's the traditional way of kicking off a war, is what I've come to learn. And you need to look for these operations. Look for the idea that, you see, they can't just foment war sentiment by telling you, you know, look at Iran, they've got nuclear arms. They have to do something that's going to get you on a visceral level. They have to do something like 9/11, where our people died, right? And so you especially hear this among our conservative brethren that think, oh, they've all got to die now, right? Because they caused this, they caused our people to die. Well, it's tooth for a tooth. And so, you know, that's the kind of sentiment they are trying to instill in our people when they want to get a war funded. So what you need to look at is whenever you feel that feeling, when you watch Fox News and CNN News, and you get that gut feeling, that's what they want. They want you to stop thinking and start that, yeah, mob response, you know, that worldwide wrestling response. Now, is that a way to conduct foreign policy? I ask you. No, it's it's the foreign policy of the 13-year-old, okay? No offense to any young people here, but the point is they're treating you like a child and we're supposed to give our trust over to these people. So I just ask you to do what I asked when I started up here, and that is be a skeptic. And especially be a skeptic when you feel that gut response happening. And they're going to tell you that, oh, those Iranians, they bombed something in the Gulf of Hormuz, or they are helping the Iraqi insurgents. Whatever they come up with, please be suspicious, okay? That's all I'm asking now. But please also take some videos and some flyers, okay? Thanks a lot. Does anyone have a question? Let's have the questions. All questions were answered by the film? No, go ahead. Just talk into there.
There was also
There was also information like about the Pentagon too, and I saw none of that was covered. But there's a website called Small Change. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it talks a lot about some of the facts about the penetration of the walls.
Yeah.
And that
Do you mean loose change?
Yeah, loose change. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. This gentleman wanted to let us know about the movie called Loose Change. We have some copies of it, so definitely take a look at that. I want you to be skeptical. Okay. Who? Okay. We have Loose Change. I want you to be skeptical, though. There are some things going on with the Pentagon coverage, the Pentagon issues, that could well be disinformation. The things that they want to lure you into these ideas that there was no plane, for example, and so that we'll get all hot and bothered about the no plane theory, and then, you know, maybe someday they're going to show us a film of the actual plane hitting it and try to debunk us. So I want you to just be very careful. Try to find really factual information and not get sidelined by, you know, I wouldn't even be too entranced in the demolition issues. I think you should look at the big picture and just say, well, there are some serious questions here, and they should investigate. They should do a real investigation. It's not up to you to find out what really happened. It's up to them to use the powers of state to find out. Okay, Alex? All right. PDX911truth.blogspot.com has MP3 archive podcasts of selected Republic Broadcasting programs. Now, Republic Broadcasting is outstanding, but are they back online yet? Yes. Okay, rpnlive.com. Okay, excellent web radio. So go to the archives at pdx911truth.blogspot.com, where our Glenn Owen gives us the archives of that website, which is outstanding. They have Webster Tarpley. Alex, you're on there, right? Or maybe, okay. It's going through a transition, but let me point out some things. There are people, experts, who...
That issue pertains to Sting that again Friday.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who know a lot about what happened. And they've been reporting on this for years. They've been doing radio shows and interviews and papers. There's Stephen Jones, you saw the BYU physics professor. Scores and scores of very scholarly people studying this matter, and they're getting zero coverage, zero coverage, except on the internet and by, you know, us, people who have regular jobs trying to have our lives, but we're having to become journalists to get this word out. And you should ask, why? You know, why isn't an MIT physics professor, a BYU physics professor, given a real debate on why didn't Building 7 fall down? Why don't you see that? You know, that should be a real huge question in your mind. And the questions are just really getting started. So I want to ask you if you have any more questions. Does anyone? Bruce,
Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me, right?
what do you got?
They can hear me. I think it's interesting what Alex says is that people are. I better go up here. Let me just see. Can you hear me? Yeah. I think it's interesting what Alex said is I think and what you just there's so many questions that are already out there that you don't even need to ask anything about what hit what. It's all on the film there. But I think the thing that Alex said is that most of us aren't going to worry until we go out and the car won't start. There's no gas. And until you go down and Safeway's closed because they just don't have anything they need because they just can't afford the fuel. And these things are going to probably happen. Before we get marched into camps, you're just going to go out and there's not going to be any heat. And that is the frustrating part, is that we already have the information we need and we just can't seem to take that next step, which is a difficult step to take because the corporate media will not cover a peaceful demonstration. They will not cover anything. They didn't cover what happened in Washington, D.C., where there were around 400,000 people. They didn't cover Putin's speech yesterday, which he warned about if the U.S. keeps doing what they're doing, it's going to lead to World War III. And they don't talk about what's out there. So we're all in that weird position of having to decide for each one of us, what should we do? And I asked them, maybe if we should all think, I'm sitting over there thinking right now, what is appropriate to do?
Okay.
Because they're not listening and they're not worried about you. And that's the tough part.
Okay, it's a very good question. What do we do? Answers? Okay, no, I think we've made a good start. The first answer to that question of what you do is to inform yourself. So make sure that you don't do what Alex said is our main problem in this country, which is you just turn it off. Think of all the times when something comes up, it's a little disturbing, and you just sort of go, I got a meeting to make, and you just can't, you just don't want to listen or talk about it or learn about it or peel the onion. So give yourself some time. This is a huge issue. It's taken me years now just to kind of accept it. I mean, my background is foreign policy, the Army, the law school. You know, I believe in our system. I put myself into it all the way. And now I'm finding we have an empire is essentially what we have. And we've got essentially a propaganda news media and a completely wholly owned elections owned by corporations. And so it's been a little hard for me to come all the way to this realization. But that will set you free, you know, once you face it, once you accept it, then it does give you a duty then to do something, but try to be a little easy on yourself, because some of us have lived 40 or more years under the idea that we have a democracy based on a constitution, and so maybe it's an ideal to work toward. Do you have a question? Oh, good. Yeah, come on up. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that with all of this apathy and everything like that, we need to understand what is really going on here. And what's really going on is that our freedom, our power, our government, which is in the hands of us, the people, has been hijacked by men who know that we are asleep. That is the double-edged sword of freedom and democracy. Free to live if we have it, free to die if we forget. And we have forgotten our power. We have forgotten our authority. We have forgotten that we are the owners of our government. And by letting these men, these people, these corrupt politicians, businesses, everything, run the country that we are supposed to own, to bomb and kill and steal, pollute this world, it is our sin of omission. We are guilty. We are guilty of standing by and forgetting what our true power and authority is. And by holding our local government responsible, making our state legislators speak, forcing them to know that they will not have a job if they don't do the will of the people, to wake up and get out of, all of us work, all of us are busy, all of us are tired. But for how long can we handle it while we are literally paying with our tax dollars for death? This is because we have forgotten. It has been taken advantage of. And we have to wake up. We have to speak. We have to remember. We have to remember what our power is. And that's up to all of us to do right here that is sitting in this room, me included. Because there's only a handful of us. Who else? Everybody's at home, right? They're hanging out. They're drinking their coffee. They're trying to get some peace and solace in their lives. But as long as we stay asleep, the monster grows and feeds. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I think one more thing.
I want to say I do believe in our democracy. I do believe in our Constitution. And what has been done is unconstitutional. The laws that have been passed are unconstitutional. The authority that he has taken, Mr. Bush himself, is unconstitutional. And we do not recognize it, we do not allow it, and we will fight against it. Because if we don't, we will die and others will too. And I don't want to live in that world. Do you guys?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, I'd like to close. And we have one more question. Yes, I'll repeat it. You can just, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I agree with the things that she was saying about so many people being asleep. And also, I do believe that the government promotes that sleep. Personally, I believe that this compulsion that we have to survive through our jobs and two parents working, and that pressure is no accident, that the government wants us to keep so busy that we feel like we can't look into these things and be proactive.
Good. Right. So I'll summarize that, but do you have a question or anything?
No,
okay.
that's just a comment.
This is a good point. It's that we've been, our minds have been prepared to accept this sort of thing. We've been radically depoliticized since Vietnam, since the end of that war, and the successful use of populism and people power to make that war come to an end. Well, the powers that be, I call it an oligarchy, okay, that we live in. It's not so much a dictatorship as a bunch of corporate controllers, oligarchs, that essentially control everything. So they learned from Vietnam. Who says they didn't learn the lesson of Vietnam? They learned it very well. They learned how not to show coverage of protests. Did anybody see the 400,000 or 500,000 people in DC the other weekend? Okay, if you watch C-SPAN for a couple of minutes, yeah, but not otherwise. So they learned from Vietnam. We need to learn from their learning. We need to learn. They're doing false flag operations. What's the next one that's coming? Can we alert people? Can you all help me alert Earl Blumenauer? Should we all go and let him know? Make sure he knows, okay, maybe you can't make an investigation happen, but can you help us prevent a catastrophic response to the next one that happens? That takes some forward thinking. What about Obama? He talks about, let's turn the page, let's go forward. Okay, go forward to what? The next false flag CIA-controlled operation? No, we have to figure out this pattern and preempt it. So on that note, and I agree, this woman made a point that the idea is all the fire hose of problems that they're sending our way is not an accident. And they know that we are all busy because they've made our economy this way, that we have to all work many jobs and many hours to keep afloat. This is all part of a plan, just like the plan to make sure Bush won in 2000, just like the plan that, oh, Kerry is just, well, I'll just concede right now, and maybe that'll make it okay. No, this was all part of a plan, and we need to look more carefully at the patterns. So thank you all for coming today. Any other questions? You guys are great. Go and find the truth. Be a skeptic.